Well, hello, fine fellas and fellettes. I don't think we ever meet fellettes
Zero.
watching our shit. I'm Harry.
And I'm Richard.
This is Dead Decks.
Welcome to the Sausage Fest.
Dead Decks.
Yeah, buddy. All right, buddy. Yeah.
Get comfortable.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, hey.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to lead with this. This is for you, Gord.
Yep.
Said you want to know what we're drinking. It's a big old jug of cheap stuff.
But it's good cheap stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite that I've tried on the low end stuff. And that shit, I think it was $38 American.
Yeah. Evan Williams, 1783, small batch. I don't know what it is in Canada for you there, Gord, but anybody else it's not. If you're in the States, you can get this cheap.
Yeah. And it's really good. I really recommend it.
Yeah. You can drink it neat.
Yeah.
It's plenty good enough.
Oh yeah, I mean I've had much more expensive stuff that was considerably worse. So
Yep. Yeah, we might grab another bottle of that. That might be a filler. Mm-hmm. But right now we got enough bottles that we're okay for a while.
yeah, it's real smooth and I don't know. I really like it. I'm not gonna tell you what kind of notes and all that shit. We should have that stuff for the sniffing videos, which we haven't posted yet.
Got a little squirrel nutsack. Yeah, I don't know what it smells like.
Elephant diarrhea.
It tastes delicious.
Yeah.
That's really all the tasting notes you're gonna get from us.
Yeah, we're not. We don't know anything about that shit, and I'm pretty sure most of that stuff's made up anyway. So
Yeah.
just to sound snobbish and prestigious.
Well, yeah, because you never hear one of these dudes say it tastes nutty. You hear them say, "Ooh, this tastes like what's some exotic nut. This is
Macadamia
yeah,
nuts.
this is a little Brazilian mixed with some yeah."
Yeah, you call that shit.
Why isn't it something basic?
Tastes good and get you drunk. That's our review. Anyway, we're 2 minutes in. We haven't talked about a goddamn thing we're going to be talking about in this video. We're talking about bourbon. We're going to start leading off with that, so get used to it. Anyway, what are we doing today?
We're talking about systems for CCGs and TCGs.
Yeah.
The word systems and what that is, what that means. So, basically, a system is a combination of game rules, mechanics, and card attributes. Probably all of them made, even initially, with the intention of using them across multiple games. So you can use them on multiple properties. They could certainly have been the case where they turned a game into a system later. But as far as I can tell, most of the ones we're aware of, they came out with the intention of doing that.
Yep.
Obvious advantage to the publisher and the creator. Well, you have a whole lot of work you don't have to do now. You can take a property and use it as a skin. You've already got your card layout. You've already got your rules. You've got your mechanics. So you go acquire licenses and crank out another game.
Yep.
What we were talking about, really, the only thing left to do with the cards, you need abilities and, some numbers, the attributes. You might have to balance those, do some play testing on it. But
Yeah, artwork and, of course, if you're using established universe stuff, especially in the movies, TV shows, then that's kind of already done for you, too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, especially you grab a license like that, yeah, your art's done. So really all you have left is just balancing out the new abilities you're going to make.
Hope you don't break the fucking entire system.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see why people would have done it, and I'm actually surprised it hasn't been attempted more. But
Well, it has, but it's evolved into something different, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But
yeah,
I think it's around. It's evolved to be smarter.
yeah. Part of the reason, out of hundreds of games, I can only come up with maybe 8 to 10 that would qualify as being in a system. But since so many of them fail so quickly, they wouldn't have really had time to set up a system.
I think that's the biggest problem. You've got a literal handful of companies that survive more than a couple of games.
Yeah.
If even that. Your Magic, your Wizards and Deciphers are your two big ones. Legend of the Five Rings Publishing, and even they were bought out at one point by Wizards of the Coast. So, yeah, there wasn't a lot that survived in a long time to be able to do this kind of stuff. So.
Yep. Historically, if you look into this stuff back in the 90s, you'll see that word. If you didn't know what it was, that's what it is. Not sure exactly who the first one was that did it. Precedence, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
It was in 97. They used the Battleground system, and that was advertised, but not real heavily. I think they do mention it on some things. They used that for Aliens vs. Predator and Terminator. Those are the only two. Of course, one of the things about these systems, meaning the games are compatible. So you might have fans that find it cool to be able to cross over universes and battle it out between two different things. I'm intrigued by that Battleground system and really want to get into Terminator.
And we have some back here.
We do.
On the shelf. Yep.
We can afford Terminator. Aliens vs. Predator, well, we can afford it. I don't really want to.
Yeah.
$60 for a starter deck.
We'll probably just buy a starter deck?
A single starter deck.
What the fuck happened there?
I don't know, man. That stuff's got nuts from what I've seen.
God damn.
I think they're that high. I don't think I exaggerated that.
Well, maybe people will just send us some, or we'll just buy a bunch of bulk and fuck with it. You know, one way or the other, we'll get our hands on some.
Yep.
Especially, if we are going to do a video, we're going to have to get some. So we'll get some. We have Terminator. Terminator's, last I checked, was $10 a box, give or take.
Yeah.
Just a little shipping on top.
Yeah, we'll take some of that. I got some sealed starters. We got stuff laying around everywhere.
Yeah.
So I suspect maybe that WotC was the first to talk about doing a system, but from the release dates, it looks like they were a little slower than Battleground. They did the Ark System in '98. All 3 of the games in that system were released the same year, and then they decided to retire it. They did heavily, they advertised it. They made it clear they were trying to make a simplified game system. They used it for Xena, Hercules, and C-23. The latter being a generic Stan Lee comic book, sci-fi, Jim Lee, Stan Lee, whatever. That didn't.
Big difference there, actually.
I haven't seen good reviews of that. It's basically, I think, deemed to be just too generic and wasn't very thrilling for people. But it was advertised as a compatible game system. Some of the old CCG magazines, you'll see Xena and Hercules crossover ads. So, like, hey, you can battle these two.
Which is, it's a cool concept. And we actually have a decent amount of all 3, maybe the least amount of Hercules, but we have a decent amount of Xena and C-23. So
yeah, you got a lot of sealed Xena.
Yeah, I've got a lot of sealed Xena. No, I don't know if we're going to crack any of it. Probably rather just sell it. It's worth much more to me sold as a sealed box than open it for you fucks. So. I know we have some starter decks of Xena. I did buy those specifically when we bought all that haul to get some to open. So any kind of loose starters or packs, those will all get open. So you'll get to see some of it if you want. Do you really care? But
yeah, I never was into either of those television shows, so I'm most excited about the generic comic book one. C-23.
I think I've watched a little bit of Xena. I think I might have had a little hard on for her back in the day.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I also have one for China, but not the country, the wrestling.
Had a hard on for the whole country. Damn, he's all about it.
I don't know, it's just
the wrestler was never attractive. Come on.
No, but
God dang,
she had places to put things. So
so does a toilet.
Well, you do what you got to do sometimes.
Another one that was advertised back in, this was actually 2006. Upper Deck did the Quick Strike system. That was used for Avatar, whatever the rest of that name is, Subtitled Airbender.
Last Airbender.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean and Shaman King. Those 3 were Quick Strike games. Also, all of the system ones I'm curious to check out.
Yeah, what the fuck was Shaman King? I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
I don't know if that was an anime, something more obscure, and I think I might have read that one might not be exactly compatible. It was based, the other 2, the actual system formalized was based on that. So
my question is for this is, how do you combine Pirates of the Caribbean and fucking Avatar?
Yeah.
I don't think they didn't think about that. They just what the fuck ever we can get signed first.
These are the licenses we've got.
Yeah.
Well, even Xena and Hercules in the Ark System, and then C-23.
Yeah.
You got 2 fantasy television shows and a sci-fi comic book.
But this, again, I don't know what Shaman King is, but none of those 3 really go together in any way, shape, or form. Xena and Hercules, they actually crossed over quite a bit, in their shows and all that shit. So
yeah,
at least they made sense. C-23,
And I can see Aliens, Predator, and Terminator. Being
that makes sense.
90s action movies. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I could see, Arnold Schwarzenegger going out and killing some fucking predators and aliens. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
They were kind of all doing the same thing anyway. Just running around shooting shit.
Yeah, just insert something different to shoot. Yeah. Make another movie. So the last one of the historical era of this was Thunder Castle Games in '95. They made Highlander. They advertised that they were using the Swordmaster system, but they never did use that system for anything else. So it appears that they had intentions to do the same thing, but they either couldn't afford any more licenses or whatever. It's like, hell with this. So that there never was another Swordmaster game, but it was an advertised system.
And I'm assuming they're supposed to try to piggyback on the Deckmaster from Wizards, which we'll get into here in a minute too. But don't think Thundercats will do much besides Highlander. Period.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did either.
I think that was their maybe only venture out into the genre.
And again, I'm pretty sure Rands has somebody on his channel at some point talk about some of that Highlander stuff that when they were trying to get that all released. But
yeah, well, Highlander came out in '95, so if you're going to look for a company that only made one game and dipped, there's going to be a lot of them in '95.
Yeah.
So we'll get into some that are a little more unclear whether or not they're a system. Those were advertised as systems. They're explicitly called that. And Versus System is a game, but I don't believe it was ever intended to be a system. However, it did have multiple licenses on the same game. I don't remember. Oh, they did have all the same card backs. So single game with expansions with different licenses, but it just had system in the name. So I thought we'd address that. Don't think it was intended to be that. Power Cards never saw that it advertised as a system. But Spawn had different card backs than the original Power Cards. So that kind of threw me. That one I think you could probably qualify as a system, but it wasn't marketed as such. So, and then Deckmaster. So best I can tell, well, those are still on Magic backs, right? Mm-hmm. Still there. That one was not actually a system, and I don't think WotC intended it to be. From what I looked up and articles I read, it was more of a branding. They had the idea that maybe every CCG we'll ever make, we'll call it a Deckmaster CCG and clearly tell it's ours. But it wasn't a system. They eventually decided they couldn't go back and they couldn't change the card backs. They had already printed things without Deckmaster on it. They didn't want to do that. So they abandoned the idea. But, yeah. Anyway.
But they did do it on Vampire. I don't know if I think it's still a whole run. I think it had Deckmaster on the back.
Yeah. Yeah, they only did it for games that started with it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go back and do anything else. See, I don't believe that was intended to be that. I think it was branding alone. But so now into the modern solution. Since 2006, I don't know of any other systems. Certainly tell me if you know of any. Now it seems to be the thing to do is just leave it the same game, create expansion, and use as many licenses as you want. Vaz Schwarz. Bushi Road.
Bushi Road?
No, you can't do the same accent for Bushi Road.
Oh, Bushi sorry. I thought I changed it up.
Sound like the same shit to me.
Man, yeah.
That came out in 2007. They have all the same card backs. It's the same game, but they have done maybe dozens of licenses at this point. Almost all anime.
Yeah.
A lot of it anime. So, Metacross, which looks like Meta X on the packaging, by Panini, came out in 2017. Same thing. They've done 3 comic book franchises, and then they've done Attack on Titan. Again, same card backs, same game. Just every expansion has different licenses.
Yeah, the big difference pretty much is it's instead of being a separate game, it's just the same game.
Yeah.
And reusing or acquiring licenses to print those, characters. So
yeah, and really effectively, other than not advertising the word system, I don't know if there's any difference. If you're going to make branded starters and branded boosters, I guess the only difference is the backs are the same. Really.
Pretty much.
Functionally, it's the same.
Yeah, same concept.
Same as a system.
Yeah.
So yeah,
except I guess you would adapt the franchise now just into. I mean, you wouldn't have to really. I mean, everything is already set up. You just change names. You wouldn't really have to even change abilities or anything. You just add instead of you might have to do a little bit of ability differences in the old system way, but otherwise. Be exactly the same.
Now, if you really want to crank out some shit quick, yeah, just have a standard set of cards and abilities and just change the picture. Mm-hmm. Now there you go. Somebody do that and make some serious money. Yeah. I don't know that any of them are doing that. That's pretty generic. You get the same 150 cards with the same abilities every time. We're just going to throw different pictures on them. Yeah. Anyway, Magic has done some. We talked about that a little.
Yeah, off cam.
Yeah.
They're starting to go in that direction. When we meant to look this up, we didn't.
Yeah.
Ikoria was the first one that I can remember or think of where they went into another property to create Magic cards. And if I understand correctly, and I could be wrong, but I believe that all the cards in Ikoria have a generic Magic name as well. They just used, licensed. I guess it's licensed. Not even sure on that, to be honest. The Godzilla, King Kong, all that kind of stuff. Mothra, or whatever the fuck that shit's called.
Yeah.
And it's made cards that had those specific names, but would still be a generic card otherwise. Most famously, they've done is Walking Dead, even though that was a secret lair and not a full set. And it caused a lot of backlash and uproar because those cards were specific to secret layers, meaning you could not get them other than, if you didn't get them when they were dropped, then you had to buy them on secondary market. And some of those cards were extremely powerful, especially in Commander. But I'm pretty sure that there's enough backlash that they're going to release those in regular sets with just generic Magic names as well. So, and I guess errata the old ones to have that generic title. So you can't have more than 4 in a deck, I guess. I don't know. Otherwise, you could have 8 of those in a deck. The same card with different technical names. I don't know. We haven't been in Magic in so long that we may be wrong on all of that.
Yeah, that's very possible.
And then they recently did Adventure in Forgotten Realms D&D stuff, but they own that property, so that's a little different. But it looks like that they're starting to go down that road too. I think there's a couple. I know is there Baldur's Gate coming this year?
Is there?
I could be wrong.
That'd be cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I highly suspect you'll see a lot more of that coming down, Magic's road. So.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense for a business perspective. I mean, a lot of them are looking to take a property and crank out something they can make money with. So you've already got the game in place, slap a property on there, and makes perfect sense.
And, especially these established universes, I mean, your powers and abilities and all that are kind of already known anyway. You wouldn't have to do a lot of work to even get those translated. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in terms of which I think is better and what we prefer, I think we agreed the modern way makes more sense.
Yeah.
I can see the only real objection I can think of to the old system format is, or why you would prefer it, the card backs they're branded. If you really love the property that much, maybe that matters to you. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's an entirely separate game. It's
Yeah.
I guess. And if they were to actually take those games and make an entire CCG out of them, most of them only had one release, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
If you're going to put out 30 sets, that way it could be a standalone game within itself. Okay, sure, but this way, just one property anyway, and you just bring in different licensees. So.
Yep. Make some money.
Make that money.
All right. Well, that's what a game system is. So there you go.
We rambled for long enough on this one.
Yep, we sure did. So how we do?
Good enough.
Yeah, buddy.